Peace and love, family. It's Alkmaar coming to you live once again with another story about these gag orders and this freedom of speech being clamped down on more and more in the American society. Last week, I came to you to share the news about Harvard University students aren't able to speak freely and protest against Israel because the American government is actually clamping down on their voices by stripping funds from all these big name institutions like Harvard and Yale and Brown and places like that. Well, here's another news story about freedom of speech that entails the executive director of 60 Minutes, the investigative news reporting program that comes on CBS. Well, the executive director of that show, Bill Owens, has stepped down. Paramount, their parent company, is meddling in the news affairs and that he can't run the stories as he wants. He doesn't have the freedom of the press to be able to tell the truth about these news stories that they're covering at 60 Minutes. And so he got so frustrated about the situation that he's stepping down. So I'm telling you, family, it's getting closer and closer and closer to a whole totalitarian regime there in America. 60 Minutes has been on air for 50 years, family, and this executive director has been in his position at 60 Minutes for 29 of those years. So he's been there for a long time, shaping and molding. And I remember watching that news program when I was younger. So yeah, so it's a lot more and more of these news channels that are just not able to speak the truth. And this is nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. And a lot of these programs that have been reputable are now being taken over by corporate interests. So what does that mean? That means that if you're relying on these news stations and channels and programs for your news, then you're getting censored information. You're getting filtered information. You're getting the news and content that corporations want you to know. And it all ties in together. College campuses, these news stations, the political realm, all the politicians that are being paid off, that can't speak out. Even there's a current all out genocide, one of many, but the main one that the general public is aware of, the Palestinians, is happening right now as we speak. Straight up genocide, and the American politicians can't even speak on it. So it's a dangerous time right now for the American people, because when you don't have access to the truth and you're being fed lies consistently and repeatedly, and the things that you're being told is affecting your own life, or should I say, the things you're not being told is affecting your own life, it becomes dangerous because there's no way for you to protect yourself, right? So it's like a hurricane coming, and all the news stations is telling you, oh, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day tomorrow. Get outside and enjoy the weather. The whole time they know that a hurricane is coming tomorrow, but they're telling you something different. And so you're outside, no protection, no cover, you know what I'm saying? And whoo, get hit with a hurricane without no warning. That's currently the danger that the American people are in when they're fed lies consistently and repeatedly. So I'm just here to say, family, I don't think it's going to change anything that people know what's currently coming or going on. I don't think, because the wheels, the wheels are already in motion, and we're going to have to live this thing out. However, you are in a position to be able to protect yourself if you understand and know what's coming. And so I say, keep your ear to the ground, pay close attention to what's going on around you, and be up on these type of things so you know how to maneuver and to protect yourself. I mean, there's some people like myself who decided to get out of there because I see the writing on the wall and I know what's coming down the pipe and there's no stopping it. So I'm just removing myself totally from the hurricane. And I understand that, that's just not the plight for everybody. But if you're there and you're riding out that storm right inside the belly of this beast, my strong advice to you is to know what's going on. Because if you're turning on the TV and you're looking for the nightly news, and now all these used to be reputable programs like 60 Minutes, you're waiting for these programs to tell you what to do, the CNNs, the Foxes, or the MSN, all of them, of the world. You're waiting for them to give you legitimate information. I mean, you're setting yourself up for a fall. So pay attention, look into that, look into these matters, keep your ear on the ground, and know what's going on at all times. Interestingly enough, Donald Trump is suing Paramount for $20 billion because of a story they ran last year with Kamala Harris. And they asked her a question about Israel. Pay attention, family. Pay attention to the common denominator in all this. They asked her a question on air about Israel, the war in over there between them and Palestine, and she answered it one way, and they cut the tape. And when they ran the actual full story, they made it seem like she answered the question differently than what she really did. So, long story short, they denied that they did anything unscrupulous. Paramount, 60 Minutes did. And they said that they do it all the time. But Trump is suing them. But I'm still unsure. I've been looking, but I'm still trying to get some clarity around why he's suing them, because his name was not even mentioned. But it is centered around the war in Israel. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because I have to dig deeper, because I can't just go on what the news stations is telling me, because it's spin. So they may very well be trying to protect and cover themselves by just sharing small tidbits of information and spin that information. So when you're looking for the truth, you got to look through every suitcase. You got to pull out all kind of stuff from the bottom of the drawers, and you got to just look really good for content these days, because if you're just relying on one or two um, sources for information, 9 times out of 10, you're getting false information. So, okay, family, pay attention. On a sidebar note, I was looking up some information on DeepSeek, which is a very similar to Chat GPT, but it's in China. China runs that DeepSeek. And I had put in some information about totalitarianism and authoritarianism in society. And they went to give me the information and snatched it right back and said, sorry, we're not available. That's not information not available. We need to talk about something else. So even the robots are trained to clamp down on information. Man, it's deep. Take care of each other out there. Peace.